aspect of capitalist accumulation has been the industrialization and hyper-exploitation of food producers, both human farmers and other forms of life, trying to squeeze out an ever-growing surplus. This has led to the acts of genocide associated with the commodification of the land, the total destruction of peasant societies, deforestation and monocrop deserts, mass starvation, mass extinction, pollution, climate change, dead zones in the ocean, the destruction and commodification of communities of different living beings, the murder of living soil, and torture of non-human animals.
Abattoirs are filthy, dirty places. There's animal feces on the floor, you see and smell the guts, and the walls are covered in blood. And the smell, it hits you like a wall when you first enter, and then hangs thick in the air around you. The odor of dying animals surrounds you like a vapor. Emotions in the abattoir tended to be bottled up. Nobody talked about their feelings. There was an overwhelming sense that you weren't allowed to show weakness. Plus, there were a lot of workers who wouldn't have been able to talk about their feelings to the rest of us, even if they'd wanted to. Many were migrant workers, predominantly from Eastern Europe, whose English wasn't good enough for them to seek help if they were struggling. One skill that you master while working at an abattoir is disassociation. You learn to become numb to death and to suffering. Instead of thinking about cows as entire beings, you separate them into their saleable, edible body parts. It doesn't just make the job easier, it's necessary for survival.
How we feed ourselves is a nexus that brings together how we organize our society and the relationship we create with the broader ecosystem.
The usual way to go about developing a method is to ask, how about trying this? Or how about trying that? Bring a variety of techniques one upon the other. This is modern agriculture, and it only results in making the farmer busier. How about not doing this? And how about not doing that? That was my way of thinking. I ultimately reached the conclusion that there was no need to plow, no need to apply fertilizer, no need to make compost, no need to use insecticide. The reason that man's improved techniques seem to be necessary is that the natural balance has been so badly upset beforehand by those same techniques that the land has become dependent on them. This line of reasoning not only applies to agriculture, but to other aspects of human society as well. Doctors and medicines become necessary when people create a sickly environment. Formal schooling has no intrinsic value, but becomes necessary when humanity creates a condition in which one must be educated to get along. In nature, formal schooling has no function.
There is a strong and multi-layered connection between femininity and what is referred to as food work. Historically, women's relationship with food has been shaped by normative gender roles, which assign men to the public sphere of work and women to the private sphere of care and domesticity. It was this domestic drudgery which second-wave feminists thought to liberate themselves from in the 1960s and 1970s. As the 1950s housewife was undermined and white middle-class women moved into the open labor market, many of the tasks that had been done by these women in the house were transferred onto the market, resulting in the rapid emergence of restaurants and fast foods, as well as having women of lower classes and often of migrant backgrounds to take over the house chores as nannies and housekeepers. Instead of pushing these tasks into the market, as we recognize the necessity of such activities, and as we recognize the oppressive ways in which the work of social reproduction has been historically imposed on women, we should understand the fundamental role these activities have in shaping the labor force. If we want to strive for autonomy, we should reshape our social relations beyond the constraint capitalism gives us.
We know that our goal is not a good capitalism, a system of domination sweetened through an economy, whether green or ethical, that is essentially fake. We love opening cracks in which to sow the seed of solidarity and mutual aid, while contributing to the collapse of the exploiter's fortress.
As for the widespread commons of garbage, several governments around the world are working to criminalize and suppress it. In the US, several cities have arrested people for sharing free dumpster food. In Spain, where bakers traditionally give away unsold loaves at the end of the day, chain bakeries have started to count all their loaves of bread, returning and destroying every loaf that has not been paid for. In many cities in the Netherlands, New trash containers store the garbage underground, making it impossible to access. Once again, they prefer that people starve instead of being able to get anything for free.
In a context where we are constantly confronted with an industrial food production system that is both terribly exploitative towards people and land and terribly unhealthy, reclaiming what we eat and how we cook is very important.
Coffee, chosen and imported following real criteria of solidarity and support to the producing communities. Sugar, coming from the landless workers' movement of Brazil. Rice, grown in a family-run farm from fields nearby. Oranges, coming from collectives in struggle in the south of Italy that respect land and workers while refusing dynamics of criminal exploitation. We want to bring our choices beyond the limits given by the ordinary, because searching for the impossible, human beings have always manifested and discovered what was possible. The ones who wisely limited themselves to what seemed possible never advanced one single step. We want to get our hands dirty, participating and proposing actively without any delegation, because it's the right thing to do and it's necessary to try it.
Point. Thank you.
I went to Tokyo and stayed for a while, passing the days by walking in the park, stopping people on the street and talking to them, sleeping here and there. My friend was worried and came to see how I was getting along. "Aren't you living in some dream world, some world of illusion?" he asked. "No," I replied, "it's you who are living in a dream world." We both thought, I am right and you're in a dream world. When my friend turned to say goodbye, I answered with something like, "Don't say goodbye. To part is just to part." My friend seemed to have given up hope.